Well, g'day ladies and gents, FULLFACE here, coming at you live and direct from a sunny Bunbury, Western Australia. Got another Lambs bike review here today for you. As you can see, the Kawasaki Ninja 650L, otherwise previously known as the EX6, EX650, Ninja 650, was the ER6. So this is a 2015 model. This has got very, very low Ks on it, so it's a very good example to quickly take you on a bit of a quick review and give you my impressions. So this is actually a good comparison for me because as a lot of you guys will know, I currently ride a Ninja 250. So this is the step up option. It's basically a competitor to your almost an MT-07 in that. It's a bit cheaper than the MT-07, but it's in that sort of price range. It's a 649cc parallel twin. It's a 6-speed gearbox. These ones being a 650, I've noticed there's not a lot of throw in that throttle. That is all you get. So, I mean, with this one, you possibly de-restrict it quite easily. I'm not sure how you would go about that. I haven't done any research into it because I'm not about to own one, but just thought there's not much there, eh? So what I'm going to do is turn on the dash. Does a little startup sequence there. You got a fuel gauge, your odometer, big speedo in the middle with a mechanical tacho, which is quite good. A couple of warning lights. You got ABS, a neutral. You got I think there's a fuel light there, and then there's an oil light in the bottom. A couple of buttons to switch between your odometer and your trip and that sort of thing, and obviously a clock, and there's a little eco light there that when you're just cruising will show up to show you're not actually using too much fuel. Another quick thing to note, you got adjustable levers on this bike, which are for standard is quite good, and a hazard lights. That's a nice little touch. Dead quiet. This one's got a stock exhaust. Mirrors on this one are actually quite good. Although they're very small, they don't give you a very big viewport. Their position is really quite good. So let's take you for a quick ride. The gearbox is very, very positive, almost like it's not quite running yet. You can hear that big click in there. Quite like that in bike. Now, the 650 engine, it's really quite good. I don't hate it at all. You got a lot more torque off the bottom than something like my Ninja 250. Also keep in mind that the 650s are fuel injected, just like the 300s. You've got no flat spots, no, struggling to idle in the morning. There's no choke, so you just start her up and away she goes. Off the bottom, there is a huge increase in torque over the 250 and the 300, but it does tail off quite quickly. I'll show you what I mean by that. So you get a lot off the bottom, and then it drops off quite quickly in the torque feeling. That's just going to be a restriction on the throttle and stuff like that. I'm going to have to try one of these unrestricted or the non-Lambs version just to see what the difference is. I'm pretty sure the non-Lambs version, I was looking at an ER6F a little while ago. And I do remember that they were about 68, or I can't remember if it was 58 or 68 horsepower. So a fair boost over this. This is restricted a fair bit, really. The handling, it handles really quite well. When you're sitting on it in this position, I mean, the ergos are really, really good. It feels comfortable. The tank's really big, which I like. The only weird thing, or the thing that's a bit strange to me, is these bars. The bars are quite high up, and as you can see, they're leaned back a fair bit. Now, this was mine. I would probably roll them up a little bit further, so they're, you're leaving a little bit more straight up again. But I don't know, just with that, how they're leaned back to me, it feels like they're a little bit too close to me. I've got no room to stretch. When I duck in or tuck, my arms have got nowhere to go, and I'm almost, at full full tuck there. It's probably just needs some adjustment if you owned it to suit how you like it. But yeah, the ergonomics, besides that, you've got heaps of room in the back here. In the front, you can actually slide forward a bit. I'm right at the front. And you can slide back a bit, and then you've got the rear seat with a bit of a hump there. So you could actually, you know, if you're on a long trip, you could stretch your legs by jumping up onto that seat. Gives you a bit more arm room and stuff like that. The way this thing cruises on the highway is really quite nice compared to my 250. Sitting at about 110 on my bike, you're at about 9 grand. At 82 kilometers right now, and it's sitting at 3.5, and that's in 6. Just double checking I was in 6 there, and I was. So this thing just going to cruise along really quite well. The screen's not too bad. It could be a little bit higher. I'd probably, if this was my bike, chuck the next size up screen on it, just so it throws it up a little bit higher. I mean, I'm not getting too much of a buffet, but it is probably about the same as my Ninja 250. It's hitting just at the top of my helmet. The other thing they probably could have thrown in there on that dash would have been nice. Might just go this way. Would have been a gear indicator. Not that you need it, be a nice extra to have. Now, the handling on this bike. This actually has a 160 section rear tyre. So, compared to your 300s and 250s and stuff like that, you actually get quite a big rear tyre. It's a similar size front, a 120/70 17 I think it is. But what that the wider rear does for you is it gives you a lot more stability in slow speeds. Now my bike's very, very twitchy. Even at slow speeds and at high speeds really. I mean, if I'm leaning into a corner and get a bit of a breeze, or you just adjust that tiny little bit, you really feel the adjustment or the movement in the bike. Whereas this bike is a lot more stable, it's a lot more planted. And the other thing is that it's a little bit taller, so I'm not only sitting a lot more upright with this bike, I'm sitting a lot higher. The seat height itself is quite high, and again with these bars it props you up quite straight. So one other thing I noticed, especially at speed, and as you can probably tell by me having to raise my voice to talk to you, is it is quite noisy. I don't know if it's the screen or what's going on, but I do feel a bit more exposed. And again, I said it does hit the wind up sort of just towards your head, but my arms and everything else feels a little bit more exposed. I'm definitely copping more wind in the shirt front area. It's not as nice a pocket of dead air as you would usually get from being a bit more tucked over on the Ninja or something like that. But it does go quite well. Now, as far as the beginner goes, if this is in your price range, say a good condition second-hand one, it's probably an excellent bike to have. This thing would take you on long trips quite easily. You're not going to be revving the guts out of it or stressing the engine as much as you would with a 250 or a 300. I've actually geared my 250 down a little bit, so it'll actually not do so many revs at 110, but it is still quite high. Whereas this thing will just putt along quite nicely, I think. The way it sort of even lugs through there at 2.5 grand, it's not putting any stress on it, it's just cruising. It's geared really well for that sort of thing. So long trips, so even over the weekend or something like that, no problem whatsoever. As well as cruising through town, this thing's quite manoeuvrable. I have noticed that in slow speed manoeuvring, and possibly even when you've got the bike off and just moving it around by hand, it does have a bit bigger turning circle, and because it's that bit taller, it feels a little bit more awkward than something like a Ninja or a 250 or your sports bikes or something like that. So this would be, really it's classed as your entry-level sports tourer, isn't it? And just lug that in fourth there around that corner just to see what it would do, and it handles quite fine. Does a lot better than something like the XT660 that does chug a fair bit. Once you get down to those revs, it lets you know it doesn't like being there. Whereas this is quite nice, really. It's very forgiving in the handling, the suspension, and in the motor. What I'm going to do now is just pull up into this quiet little area or down this street, do our little brake test. This Ninja 650L is an ABS version, so you're not going to have any problems or issues there with the brakes, but we'll just see how quickly it does actually pull up from two different speeds. And I've picked this a little bit rougher road than I usually would as well, to just with these bikes targeted at you know, you're more of a learner or entry-level rider. I like to test and see how the system reacts to, you know, all your bumps and humps and rough ground. Just see how it goes. So what I'm going to do, up to 50 k's an hour, we're going to do our brake test down here, and then I'll go to 70 and we'll do the same thing. And I'll give you a summary, and that's going to be the end of that, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Nice digital revs. We can see exactly at 50 k's, 52. Bad? Not bad at all. I didn't feel any clicks or anything like that from the ABS. I don't think it has one of those systems where it warns you it's locking out. So there's 70. And here we go. Go on that dot. Very good. It actually handled pulling from a faster stop better than it did a slower stop, which is a bit strange. Also good though, good to know. So get yourself in a bit of trouble, these brakes will pull you up quite well. I know it's twin piston on the front, single piston on the rear. In summary, ladies and gents, again, I've said this before, I'm a bit of a tight ass. I probably wouldn't buy one of these new, even being like say a learner with a bit of extra cash to throw around. I don't know if I'd buy one new. I'd find a good second-hand one, ride it throughout my lambs period, and then upgrade. Again, this one's going to give you a bit more freedom in stuff like going away on the weekend. It's going to do those sort of Ks, no problems whatsoever. It's still going to go through town. It's got all the torque down low that you could ask for. This really does everything you want it to, and nothing you extra or that you don't. So yeah, in summary, it's quite a good bike. Would I buy one? Yeah, I'd have a go. I've quite often looked at these, or the other version, like the 650F, which has got a big single seat, and thought about doing some kilometres on that one. Some of you might know I'm looking at doing a trip over to South Australia to see old dodgy skits. So, I mean, I have been keeping my eye out for a bike that's a little bit easier to do the kilometres on than the Ninja, if I don't happen to upgrade to the ZX6 before then. So yeah, I probably would buy one. It has its purpose. It does really well for, like I say, all that touring sort of stuff. Loves going along the highway. You have no problems with that sort of stuff. But I probably would, now me having my open class, would go the unrestricted version. So yeah, that was a 2015 model Ninja 650L. This has been Full Face. Hope you enjoyed. Check out the other reviews on the channel, and if you liked it, hit the like button. Also click the subscribe button if you please. That'll keep you updated with any new reviews coming out. And that's it. Full Face out.